So this is our paper two from June 2023. And this question paper is from the province of Limpopo. So in terms of our instructions, instruction number one, it reads, read the following instructions carefully uh, before before answering questions that we have. So section A is compulsory according to the instruction. It means we are supposed to answer every question that we have on section A. Going to section B, it consists of three questions, and you have to answer any two of the three questions in this section. So out of the three questions that are there in section B, you choose two questions. Section C consists of two questions. Answer any one of the two questions on this section. That is our section C. So basically, this is what we have in terms of instruction number one. So going to number six, it reads, use the table below as a guide for time allocation when answering each question. So you take note that on section A, which is our question one, it has got 20 marks. It requires you to spend on average 20 minutes. And look, going to uh, uh, B, which is our section B, it consists of uh, 40 marks, obviously, because we are supposed to answer two. So each question with 20 marks, which means there's going to be 40 marks. And it requires you to spend on average at most 50 minutes. And then section C is an essay part whereby you are going to answer one question with 40 marks. And it requires you to spend again on average, we are saying 50 minutes. So this is what we have in terms of the allocation of time with questions. So basically, with that, we move on to the first part of our question, which is going to be our multiple choice section. Question one reads, individuals invest in dash, but often only the people at the top receive large sums of money. So we have got lottery, bootlegging, pyramid schemes, copyright. So the correct response that we have is C, which is our pyramid schemes. So pyramid schemes basically is a form of investment in which each paying participant recruit two further participants, which returns being given to early participants using money contributed by later ones. So basically, we are saying the money that is going to be paid for the participants is going to be received from those that are going to be received from those that are going to be recruited later. So basically, this is the scheme that we have in terms of pyramid schemes. So we go on to see in terms of the second question, the situation that individuals find themselves in when they are willing and able to work, but are not able to work to find work. So basically, this is unemployment. We say that we have unemployment B as the correct response on number two. So, moving on to number three, the following initiative may be taken by businesses to address violence. So, we have got various options that we have, but basically, violence is characterized as the use of physical force by humans to cause harm on another human. So, if you are using a physical force that is going to cause harm to another person, is going to be a violence. So, according to the responses given, um, we could see that the correct answer that we have is D, which businesses could provide counseling facilities or refer employees to private counselors. So we have D as the correct response. However, we want to number four. Dash is the document that sets out the rights and responsibility of shareholders and directors. So this is the memorandum of incorporation. So moving on to the next part, which is number five, it refers to wealth in the form of money or other assets owned by a person or organization. So this is basically capital. So we have B is our answer. Then we go to 1.2. Complete the following sentences by using the word or words provided in the list below. Write only the word or words next to the question number 1.2.1 to 1.2.5 in the answer book. So this is what we have. So on the first part, the form of ownership where the business owner handles everything, including the actions, processes, and decisions. This is the sole proprietor. So we are saying the correct response that we have is the sole proprietor, which we are having here on 1.2.1. Then 1.2.2, dash means having a range of people with various racial, ethnic interests, and cultural backgrounds. So this is diversity. We have diversity here as our response on 1.2.2. The 1.2.3 dash refers to the principle of right and wrong behavior. This is the moral. Morally can be the correct response that we have according to what we have. That refers to the principle of right and wrong behavior. So basically, morally becomes the principle of right and wrong, which makes it the correct response on 1.2.3. Then 1.2.4, the difference in income levels and wealth between groups of people is known as, this is inequality as indicated. Then we've got 1.2.5, the existence or operation of a business over time is known as, obviously, this is continuity, which we are having as our response. So this is a breakdown in terms of the responses that we have from 1.2.1 to 1.2.5, whereby we are saying sole proprietorship, 1.2.1, 1.2.2 diversity, 1.2.3 morally, 1.2.4 inequality, and then 1.2.5 we've got continuity. So this is what we have on that part. Then we go to the next question, which is now our question 2. Our question 2 is on business ventures, which is in brackets form of ownership. So first part reads name a form of ownership that is represented by the South African Broadcasting Corporation, which is SABC. So you'll see that this indicates the state-owned company. This is a state-owned company. In other words, we are saying SABC is a state-owned company, meaning it is owned by the government. So we have state-owned company as our response. Then we move on to the next part. Outline the characteristics of the form of ownership identified in question 2.1. So the characteristics of a state-owned company is what we are looking for. Remember, a state-owned company is also a public company, which becomes one of the characteristics, and it is owned by the government and operated for profit. So it's another characteristic that we can bring. It also requires 3 or more directors and 1 or more shareholders as a state-owned company. And remember, it's a company, but obviously it's only state-owned. So obviously, profit making is also one of the main objectives, and the issue of directors also is needed, and in terms of, and also shareholders are required as a company. Then these are some of the characteristics that we can try to bring in. So we have a list of them. We are saying the name ends with the letters SOC, which is one of the main characteristics. Then we'll go to the second one. SOC is listed as a public company, so it's a public company. It is owned by the government and operated for profit. 1 or more persons may incorporate, and there is no limit on the number of shareholders. So we have other characteristics that we can consider also as correct. Remember, the question only requires 3. So we move on to the next part, whereby it's 2.3. So on 2.3, it is read the following scenario and answer the questions, answer the following questions below, which is M&M attorneys, MM in brackets. So it reads, Moorman and Martins are qualified lawyers who have started a business called MM attorneys, which lacks a continuity. They are held jointly liable for any legal, financial, and ethical problems. 2.3.1, identify the form of ownership that is represented by MM. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario above. So form of ownership, if you check, you see that we've got Moorman and Martins, which are qualified lawyers. So these are the ones that are running the business, and this becomes a partnership. Remember, partnership, we've got more than one people more than one person that are operating that business. So that's a partnership. 2.3.1. So 2.3.1, we are saying it's a partnership. Then on the motivation, we are taking it from that it is being run by 2 people. Moorman and Martins are qualified lawyers who have started a business called MM Attorney. So basically, this is the motivation. So we go to the next question. Discuss the advantages of the form of ownership identified in question 2.3.1. So basically, the question is asking us advantages of a partnership. So what advantages can we deduce from partnership? Remember, partnership, we've got 2 or more people that are running that business. Obviously, they are going to share the workload that is going to be involved in the business. So in that case, we are saying the owner is not going to be overloaded like in the form of a sole proprietor whereby we have got only one person that is running that business. So in the case of partnership, they are going to share the workload, which is an advantage. And also they're going to bring skills, and each partner is going to come with skills, and then they're going to combine those skills to run that business, which is also an advantage. And also the contributions of capital is going to come from various people, which are the partners, which makes more capital being raised, which capital that is going to be used to run the business. So basically, we have got also a breakdown in terms of those advantages of a partnership, whereby we are saying, well, the first advantage, each partner will bring their knowledge, skills, experience, and contacts to the business, thus giving the business a better chance to succeed. That is the first one. The second one, all partners have a personal interest in the business, and the workload and responsibility are shared between partners, and each partner can focus on their strength. So these are some of the advantages that we can deduce from that. And then we've got a continuation of advantages of partnership. Partners invest new capital into the business to finance expansion, and we have got a further advantages that are listed that we can also include. Then we move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be 2.4. So 2.4 reads, advise new entrepreneurs on the characteristics of a cooperatives. So what are the characteristics of cooperative is our question. So you're going to see that a cooperative is a minimum of 5 members. So minimum of 5 members is required to start a cooperative. This is one of the characteristics of a cooperative. But you can see that our question is got 4 marks, so it requires at least 2 points. So cooperatives also, they have a democratic structure, which is one of the also characteristics that we can also deduce from cooperatives. So we can see in terms of a rundown of those characteristics that we have in our answer section, whereby we are saying, well, the first one, a minimum of 5 members is required to start a cooperative. The words cooperative limited CC must appear at the end of its name. They have a democratic structure, which each member with each member having one vote. They are motivated by service rather than profit. So these are some of the advantages that we can also deduce from cooperative. So these are characteristics that we have, and we have got further characteristics that were given there that are also correct that we can include there. And this becomes the last question that we have concerning our question 2. So obviously we need to move on to our next question, which is our question 3. Moving on to our question 3, which is on business laws. First question reads, elaborate on the meaning of socio-economic issues. And socio-economic issues, we know that these are societal issues which obviously affect the economy. So that is a socio-economic issue. So here with the description that we have according to answer section, socio-economic issues are societal issues that may have a negative impact on businesses. They are issues that affect the economy in a negative way. And socio-economic issues have the potential to influence the efficiency of a business and the way products are made and distributed. So basically, this is the description that we have in terms of socio-economic issues. So moving on to the second part, it reads, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. We are given a scenario of Legend Casino, which is RC. Legend Casino, which is RC, and then it reads the Legend Casino situated in Tanzania is giving community members the opportunity of making money. People are taking chances of losing money or possessions in order to win money or prizes. So first question, identify the socio-economic issue applicable to the scenario above, motivating answer by quoting from the scenario. So you would see that the socio-economic issue represented by the scenario is gambling. And remember the description that we have in terms of gambling. Basically, gambling is taking risk action in the hope of a desired result. Or we are saying a risk action is undertaken with the hope of success. So here we can see that this is the case that we are having in this scenario, whereby people are taking chances of losing money or position. So this is the risk that they are taking. Well, they don't know whether they're going to win that money or not. So that is the risk taking that we have. So that's how we can deduce our motivation, and then we go back to other section where it reads gambling is the social economic issue. Then on motivation, people are taking chances of losing money or positions in order to win money or prizes. So this is the motivation part, and then we move on to The next part of our question is saying, give 3 examples of socio-economic issues identified in the question 3.2.1. What are the examples of the socio-economic issue identified in question 3.2.1? You'd see that we have types of gambling. So the question is asking types of gambling, which are examples of gambling. So we have got the pyramid schemes. We can talk about money laundering. Money laundering can be also part of that. And also we can include the issue of illegal gambling. So this is what we have in terms of examples of the social economic issue of gambling. So we have that also in our other section, whereby we are saying the first one that we have is pyramid scheme. And the pyramid schemes refers to businesses that may potentially yield high revenue from people who invest their money in them. So basically, on pyramid schemes, we are saying it's a form of investment in which each paying participant recruits two further participants, which returns are being given to early participants using money contributed by later ones. So basically, this is the detailed description that we have in terms of pyramid scheme. So on the second point, they say individuals invest more and more money, but often only the individuals at the top of the pyramid receive large sums of money. So that is a pyramid scheme. And then we've got also money laundering as a type of gambling. Money laundering is this process by which unlawful profits from crimes are invested in valid businesses to cover up their wrongdoing. The source of money is camouflaged and made to seem as if it was lawfully gained. So this is the description that we have in terms of money laundering. So moving on, you see that we also have the issue of illegal gambling as a type of gambling. So on illegal gambling, we are saying illegal gambling is when unlicensed businesses offer gambling to the public unlawfully. Obviously, this is going to be unlawfully. And then we are saying, second point, unlawful gambling activities can also take place in the poor communities, such as playing with the die on streets, corners for money or individuals, frequently unlicensed casinos. So this is what we have in terms of illegal gambling. And then we go to the next part of our question, which now reads, suggest initiative to address counterfeiting on their businesses. What are the initiatives to address counterfeiting in businesses? So this is what we have. So we have also 4 marks on this question. So obviously it requires at least a 2. So basically, counterfeiting is something that has been made in exact imitation of the original product. That is counterfeiting. So it looks exactly like the original one. So what are the initiatives to address counterfeiting? So you're going to say that businesses must raise awareness of counterfeiting, and that's the first approach. And then secondly, they should secure a patent, trademark, or copyright and register these in other countries where counterfeit products may originate. For example, Nike now owns the basic design of an Air Jordan 1, which means that bootleggers that do not alter the design of the shoe risk being found guilty of trademark infringement. So these are some of the points that we can also include. We have got other points that we have that are also correct. So this becomes the last part that we have on question 3. And obviously, we need to move on to the next question, which is question 4. The first question that we have on question 4 is name 3 types of cooperatives. And the types of cooperatives that we have, we've got consumer cooperatives, so producer cooperative, we've got worker cooperatives. So with 3 marks that we have on that question. Then on the second part of the question, it reads, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. We've got a scenario of Timmy and Easy NPC. So we have to go through the scenario that we have. Then 4.2.1, classify the types of companies represented by Timmy and Easy according to profit and non-profit company by quoting from the scenario above. So we have profit company. We also have a column for non-profit. So for a profit company, we are having an abbreviation INC, which is representing that it is a profit company. The non-profit company is NPC, which is representing non-profit company. So this is exactly the description that we have in our other section where we're saying profit company. TB also established a company that ends with the name IHC. And then on non-profit company, TB established the company that ends with NPC. So that's what we have on that part. And then move on to the next part, which says uh, 4.3, explain the advantages of a non-profit company. What are the advantages of a non-profit company? Of course, uh, they provide social services to various communities. So that becomes an advantage from the community point of view. Also, an advantage that we can deduce from the members is that the members of that non-profit company, the liability of the members are limited, very important. And the private assets of the members cannot be taken to settle the debts of the non-profit company. So basically, those are the advantages that we have, but we have them also articulated in our other section, whereby we are saying that the first part, profits are used solely for the primary objective of the organization as an advantage. They provide social services to various communities, and donors receive tax deductions. The liability of the members are limited, and also we've got furthermore advantages that we can also include that are also correct. So moving on to the next question. This question is on business roles, and it reads, read the scenario below and other questions that follow. We're given a scenario that you need to go through. 4.4.1, identify the socio-economic issue that is applicable to the scenario above. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. So we are going to see that socio-economic issue from the scenario is obviously unemployment that is being indicated where it reads that she is are currently sitting at home doing nothing as there are no job opportunities for her. So this represents unemployment. So exactly as we have, answer section, as we are saying, unemployment and motivation, she is currently sitting at home doing nothing as there are no job opportunities for her. Then we move on to the next part, which reads, discuss any two possible solutions to the social economic issue identified. What are the solutions to unemployment? So obviously, we have to better the education of the people and train the people that is training so that they can become employable. So that can be a solution. And also, the issue of businesses creating jobs for members of the community. So obviously, the government can assist businesses so that they grow and create opportunities for jobs for the people. So those are some of the points that we can include on 4.4.2. So going to other section, possible solutions to unemployment, improve the skills, better education and training. And the government should change the labor laws to encourage small businesses to employ workers. And also, business can provide skills development programs through leaderships, offer bursaries to the community to improve the level of education. So these are some of the points that we include. Of course, we've got other points that are also correct. So moving on to the next part of our question, it reads, suggest two initiatives that must be undertaken by businesses to address HIV or AIDS as a socio-economic issue. So what are the initiatives that we can bring in? So you'd see that businesses should also develop strategies to deal with the issues around stigma and discrimination. Very important, those who are HIV infected so that they cannot be discriminated in the society. So that can be an initiative. So we have them also listed in our other section whereby we are saying on the first point, businesses should conduct regular workshops and information sessions on the effects of HIV or AIDS on the employees and their peers. Second point, they should initiate and develop counseling programs for infected or affected persons or employees. Businesses should also develop strategies to deal with the issues around stigma and discrimination. So these are some of the points that we can also include. We have got other points that we have there. So this marks the end of our question. For, of course, we are left with the essay section. Now, question 5, which is our section C, it's on business ventures and essay on forms of ownership. So we've got information that we need to go through before you start to answer the question. So on the question part, it reads, write an essay on forms of ownership in which you include the following aspects. So the first part, outline the difference between a personal liability company and a private company. So we have those differences that are articulated. So before we go to the differences, remember, we are supposed to start with our introduction, and in the introduction, we can find terms that we have key terms that we have in the question that we can define. So according to our question, we've got a private company, which we can try to describe, and then we've got a personal liability company again, which we can describe. We've got a public company, which can describe, state-owned company also, which can describe. So these are the descriptions that we have. A private company is treated as a separate legal entity that is to register as a taxpayer. A personal liability company has the same characteristics or advantages and disadvantages. And then when the public company is designed for large-scale operations that require large capital investments, the state-owned companies are managed by the government for the benefit of the citizens. So these are the descriptions that we have. The differences between personal liability company and the private company are the differences that we have here, whereby saying under personal liability, the name ends with Pty Ltd, and our private companies, the name ends with INC. So and also, the directors are not personally liable for the deaths of the business under personal liability, whereas under private company, the directors are personally liable for the deaths of the company. So that's what we have for the differences. And then we go to the next part, which requires us to explain the advantages of a private company. So in terms of those advantages of a private company, we have them here, whereby we are saying a private company is continued for existence. Also, the company is unlimited number of shareholders, and its lifespan is perpetual. So these are the advantages that we have for a private company. So moving on to the next one, it says discuss the characteristics of a public company. So we check again what are the characteristics of a public company. We have got a list of characteristics that we have here of a public company, whereby you're saying a minimum of one person is required to start a public company. And the company must name ends with Ltd, shareholders have a limited liability. We have got further characteristics that are also listed here that we can also regard as correct. So moving on to the next part, it says advise entrepreneurs on the advantages of a state-owned company. Advantages of a state-owned company. So we can try to see these are the advantages of a state-owned company. Also, have a list that we have shareholders have limited liability. Profits may be used to finance other state departments, other essential services which may not be offered by the private sector. Offer essential services which may not be offered by the private sector. Wasteful duplication of services is eliminated. So we have further advantages of a state-owned company that we can also include. Then moving on back to our question, I would say that our question, this is the last part that we have in terms of our main part. Then we go to our conclusion. Remember, in our conclusion, we can come up with a conclusion that we regard correct. We can come up with a value judgment. We can come up with recommendations according to the discussion that we had in the main part. So this is a typical conclusion that we can come up with. A private company is the capacity to grow into a large business. A personality liability company is usually used for firms that provide professional services such as attorneys, accountants, engineers, etc. So very important to take note that we should not include a part of the main part in the conclusion. Very important that we take note of that. So this is the last part that we have according to our video. Thank you for listening, and we'll meet again in the next video.